You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Great to have you all with me today, as always. Welcome, everybody watching today on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We'll be joined at 9 o'clock by the Roku audience. We welcome everybody. We thank our groups that allow us to share. The great John Gonzalez over at the Sports Authority, Greg Rawlings, who runs what's he run? America's Pastime, the Love for Baseball, Flo and the gang over at Bottom Line Sports. Flo's overseas right now, serving this great country. Thank you, Flo, for your service as always. Flo and the gang do their podcast live on Let's Talk Sports. We thank Tanner D and the crew there. Great content there, as well as on the National Streaming Sports Network. But they allow us to share our show there later. Who else? Ken Krause at Golf Bud, Sports of All Sorts. Quick shout. Oh, DDH, thumbs up to you. Mac McGrath, thumbs up to you. And who else? Quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph recently moved to Ocean City, Maryland from Pittsburgh, but still does all his Pittsburgh content, does has a nationwide footprint, and specifically the Sports Corner, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday with Smoking Jim Frazier. I've been a guest on that show and always have a good time with Ralph and Smoking Jim. What else? Any other plugs we got to give right now? I guess we're good. We will do a college football huddle on Wednesday. And we'll get ready to pretty soon, maybe right after College World Series. We'll go on a little hiatus for a little bit on that show. We'll show some reruns or other content in that time frame on Wednesdays until whatever, early August. What else? I guess that's it. It's your show, guys. Knicks go down last night. Looks like I got a lot to talk about there if we get into it, but it's your show. We got an OKC Indy final. OKC's a huge favorite. Step minus 750. Zion Williams in trouble down there in New Orleans. Charged with accused. Let me see. Is he charged? I should careful what I say, right? I think. Anyway, he's been accused of rape and abuse. So we'll see how that works out. NBA just can't stay out of the news of sports in general. Suns coaching search continues. Not a big deal. One big deal last night, not to overlook, the NBA on TNT is all done after 35 years. I don't watch pregame shows. This is the best one on TV. Ernie Johnson has done a great job. The panel over the years, mostly Kenny, Charles, Shaq joined them recently. Been awesome. Now they will move. I'm not sure about Ernie, but I do think I think Ernie's moving with them. There was some talk on the National Streaming Sports Sunday show that Ernie might be retiring. I didn't get that impression last night, but it's going to be tough for this to be the same show on ESPN in my mind. And I'm not a big ESPN fan, so other than their 30 for 30s. MLB, so the Yankees get throttled yesterday. I'd rather get throttled than lose 3-2 in 12 innings, quite frankly, but they get throttled by the Dodgers. So a rematch of last year's World Series has gone pretty much the same way the World Series went the last couple nights. Soto finally hits a home run after 17 games without a homer. Ohtani's throwing to live hitters through all his pitches, apparently. Got it up to 97 at one point. McCullers, I talked about a couple of things on Friday's show, which we can dive into. The McCullers threat situation where he's had to, he and the Astros have had to add security for his family and himself. Ridiculous, guys. Manfred, hypocrisy. He says this week that, it's long overdue. Shoeless Joe and Rose being put in. Oh, come on. You're part of what kept them out. The NFL, Rodgers still hasn't signed anywhere. Cousins hasn't shown up to the OTAs. I still think he'll be traded. I think he'll be the Steelers quarterback. Josh Fields is excited and confident that he's going to take the next step with the Jets. I like his chances. Diggs in the news for the wrong reasons in New England. The 49ers pick up Huff from the Eagles. Flag football in the Olympics. Who cares? Big story this week. Mahomes will leave it to the younger guys. This will fly until somebody gets hurt playing flag football in the Olympics. Oh, my God, right? Vikings extend their general manager. We got an Edmonton, Florida rematch in the Stanley Cup. That should be interesting. I can't read my writing on that one. College football playoff looks like it's going to go to 16 teams in 2 years, probably a 5 and 11 combination. So that would be the 5 best conference winners, similar to what we have now. And 11 at-large teams. But the question is going to be how many of those bids will be allocated to the SEC and the Big Ten automatically. A lot of conversation about that. College basketball tournament will probably expand to 72 to 76 teams as well. Other news, Caitlin Clark is out. Angel Reese says, what's the big deal? I can carry the load until she's back. Don't know. And we got the Belmont this week right here up the street, about 15 minutes from my house at Saratoga Flat Track. An exciting week coming up here in Saratoga and the surrounding areas. Big rematch between Sovereignty and Journalism. Sovereignty won the Kentucky Derby, as you remember, upsetting the favorite Journalism. Did not run in the Preakness. Journalism did and had, I'm telling you, as a horse racing fan, it was one of the most exciting races I've seen in my lifetime. That's not just hyperbole. Let's see who's with us as we get started here today. Drew's back from Scandinavia. I don't know if he brought any Viking artifacts with him or not. Welcome, Drew. Good morning. Good morning, JB. Good to have you with us. Check out the Back It Up Binge podcast with JB. I usually wait to give him a little plug when I see him say good morning. So good morning. Rick Sherlock's with us. Welcome back to Commissioner Drew. I've been in free fall since you left, Drew. Thanks for coming back. I got half my team is hurt, crying out loud. Drew will probably give us a very sad update later. There's Flo. I want to say that's Flo from Bottom Line Sports. We mentioned at the top. Flo is in an undisclosed location outside of the country, keeping us safe. And again, as I said at the top, if you didn't hear me, Flo, thank you and all of your cohorts for your service to this great country. I know we have Veterans Day for the veterans, but I thank them for their service every day. Michael Gott from the UK, our good friends over in the UK. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Michael always has some interesting perspectives from the across the pond. Rockies record in their first 58 games playing the Major League worst. Also the first team in history to have lost their first 19 series with 22 series in a row going back to September. I hadn't pulled the series number out, but I guess it makes perfect sense. I was looking at the standings. I didn't look at them. They have not yet won again this weekend. They are now on a pace. I'm going to say their pace has now dropped. Friday they were on a pace for 136 losses. Jesus, this is comical. As you know, if you follow my MLB update and this show, we always root every year for somebody to break the loss record because we've had somebody chasing it every year. First it was the A's, then it was the White Sox who actually did it last year. Hold on, I'm going to do this math real quick. Times 0.155 might move it a game. Yes, sir. They're on a pace for 137 losses now. So the White Sox broke the record by one game last year, 121 losses over the Mets from 1962. A record that stood over 60 years, by the way. If I'm doing my math correct. Perth grad, remember? And now we're about to obliterate that. Now, again, they'll get hot somewhere and win 2 games in a row. Maybe not. Oh, gosh. Good stuff. Nationals scored 9 runs before getting the first out against the Diamondbacks. That was a 30-minute first inning last night. I think they scored 10 runs in the inning, didn't they? Pitching wins out. Flo have the best NFL players versus the best flag football players, but the best 10 out there. Everyone seems to think the NFL picking NFL players would be a foregone conclusion. I think that's a mistake. I don't know. Well, I guess you're right. They probably do think that. I don't think that is necessarily going to happen. First of all, I will tell you this. I don't care about flag football in the Olympics. I just don't. I don't want to see players from my team go there and get hurt. It's not like they're playing football. Again, I know that I say I don't care if my players go play in the WBC, for instance. They're representing their country. So maybe you'll say, you're being a bit of a hypocrite. Well, first of all, flag football isn't professional football. It's not the NFL. You play the game differently. To Flo's point, the 10 best players may not be from the NFL. And if NFL players get in there, they're going to do things differently than they would do them when they're playing, and they could get hurt. So anyway, I'm just not a big fan of it. It's a gimmick. I don't even know why they play it in place of a game. Don't play a game. Don't do anything as far as Pro Bowl goes. Remember, and again, they played flag football. They used to play a rookie game, I think, at the Pro Football Pro Bowl, the NFL Pro Bowl. Years ago, they played it on the beach, and Robert Edwards, a very promising rookie with the Patriots, tore up his knee and was never the same. Now I know that's on the beach, but I'm just saying. Good to be back. Viking artifact seen, not smuggled back. Jesus, Drew, come on, man. I wanted you to get me one of those Viking long, well, it's not a canoe. I don't know. Not coming to me what we called the Viking. I just want a little Viking canoe. I know it's not the right word because I want a Viking funeral. I've decided. I already knew I was going to be cremated anyway, and I thought if I'm going to be cremated, I might as well have myself a little Viking funeral. I'm not even sure that it's legal here. Actually, I guess I can assume it's not. But I'd take myself down to the Mohawk River, 5 minutes away, maybe go up to the Sacandaga, have a little Viking funeral at a party. I think it'd be awesome. What was the typo? I think I figured out what you were talking about, though. I think I figured out what you're talking about there, Flo. Astros find a small fracture in Jordan Alvarez's hand, delaying his comeback. Astros are going to still be a team to be reckoned with, by the way. They're hanging in there. Got off to a better start than they did last year, and they had a good second half. Only half a game behind the Mariners. The Mariners doing it with offense, interestingly enough. Third most runs scored in the American League. And the pitching staff has yet to come around due to injuries mostly. So I think this team, I picked the Mariners. I should have, I wish now I picked them to go further, quite frankly. Bet stubs his toe at home and fractures it. You know, baseball has the strangest injuries. I can't remember the player now who hurt himself sneezing one year had to go on a disabled list. My favorite disabled list story, I'm sorry, I know I'm not supposed to say disabled list, but I can't help myself, was Mark Wohlers when he went on the disabled list. This was in 97, after the Yankees had beat him up in the World Series in 96 for the Braves. And he had some, I don't want to say, he didn't have mental illness, right? But he had some psychological issues as far as confidence. And, you know, you go to sports psychologists is kind of what I'm talking about. Well, the disabled list, when he was on the disabled list, it didn't say, you know, usually it says whatever, elbow, shoulder, knee, hamstring, because we didn't have, you know, all the body parts that we have today. I know we did. But his was head, in the sense that he was having some psychical. I make fun of our friends. I'm not. It's a serious issue. Backgammon should be in the Olympics, not flag football. I don't know about backgammon either, man. I'm just a traditionalist, right? I'm okay with the traditional sports being played in the Olympics. I don't need baseball. I have the WBC. I don't need soccer. I have the World Cup. I don't need golf. It was fun to watch. I'm okay with the standard events. I just don't get it. So, and listen, Flo, and congratulations to him, by the way, because I do know some people here in our local area who have teams that travel all over the country. They play national championships. They played it well, I don't think at the time Jerry World wasn't built yet. So they played in Cowboy Stadium, Texas Stadium. And I don't think they won. But, you know, listen, these are good athletes. I've seen it. I just don't really care to watch it in the Olympics. I've gone to watch it in person when my, at the time, stepson played it. But I just don't. I don't. Kudos to them, you know, and congratulations to your son. And I'm glad that they play. Isn't there a professional women's flag football league now? I'd rather you have a retirement party. Well, I wasn't talking about the Viking funeral being in 87 days. Why does it look like you should go that way? 87 days, 17 hours. Figured it out. It's about 54 work days, I think, depending on what I take for PTO in the next 3 months. I do have a week off in June when we go to Mystic. So again, yeah, I wasn't planning it right away. I mean, a Viking funeral 35 years from now when I'm dead at 100 is what I was planning on. Right? Good morning, Bill Palmer. Alicia's in town from London. Good. And says hello. Say hello back to her. She's a sweetheart. Love seeing her post. She's got some interesting stuff she posts from London. Living in London's got to just be an awesome experience. I hope she's doing well and give her my best. How long is she here for, Billy? Marcus Stroman throwing BP and should be back soon. Woohoo! You know, the biggest thing, I don't mind losing 18-2 yesterday. Those games happen, and I'd rather lose those games than lose a 3-2 heartbreaker, as I said, in 13 innings. Biggest negative I took away from yesterday's game was Will Warren, who'd been pitching pretty well and gaining some momentum, just got hammered in the first inning. This game got out of control in a hurry, and we hope it doesn't set back. Confidence is a very fragile thing, as we just talked about with Mark Wohlers back in the day. So I hope that doesn't set him back too much. Chris Fgrave, our Canadian. As soon as we hear from California, we'll have heard from 4 countries again. That joke went over so badly last week. I thought I'd do it again this week. Actually, 5 countries, because I'm assuming Flo's not in one of the ones that I'm considering. Sing It Like the Beatles when I'm 64. Paul Coffey has his 64th birthday today. Is that right? Paul Coffey, one of those great Edmonton Oilers, who are playing the Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals and trying to break Canada's streak. I want to say it's 33 years now in a row without a Stanley Cup for the Canadian teams. I'll root. I usually root for my country always. I'll root for the Canadians. I don't have any allegiance to Florida, right? Growing up, Paul had a Toyota car dealership not far from home. Was that when you were growing up, or when Paul was growing up, he had a Toyota car? I'm guessing that's you. You're a young man, Chris. That's why. Not old like me and Paul Coffey. Orioles are the equivalent of Dodgers with all their injuries. Difference is the Dodgers still win. Well, the difference is Dodgers got a boatload of freaking talent to step up, right? They're going to get healthy, as we were talking about it, I think, on where did I hear this? I guess we were talking about it on the National Streaming Sports Show when I was on from 8 to 8:30. Look, they just find ways to win. They beat you so many ways, and they haven't even got Ohtani on the mound yet. But you're going to see Ohtani on the mound probably sometime around or after the All-Star game. 29 pitches to live hitters through all his pitches, 97. The danger there is if he gets hurt pitching and he's unable to hit, right? That's a big danger. But, you know, at least you paid him $70 million with the thought that he was going to pitch at some point, right? You didn't pay him $70 million and he was only a hitter. Well, he has been only a hitter. Like Soto, who, again, technically he's a hitter. He hasn't done a ton of hitting. He'll hit, though. I'm not concerned about Soto hitting. But as I've said before, the Yankees got the best of this basically trade-off. If they had signed Soto, they weren't bringing Max Fried in here. Fried could get hurt. I know Drew's going to mention injuries. Injuries are part of the game, and they're a danger always. But all things being equal, we're better off with the contract that we gave to Max Fried for the next 8 years than signing Soto for the next 12 or 13. And he's a one-dimensional player who gives you nothing but a bat. And all you have to do is watch him the last 3 weeks to understand what I'm talking about. He's cost his teams almost every way you can cost a team games as one player. Shane Bieber's in the first rehab start coming back from TJ surgery. Bieber was one of the, his brother Justin is one of my favorite singers, by the way. He's not. We hope he does well. Very good pitcher. Some of the Yankees had their eyes on for a while. Thank God they didn't bring him in here. And Max Fried, to my previous comment, will probably get hurt because, you know, pitchers wearing Yankee uniforms tend to get hurt all the time. It's very funny. Orioles clear the benches. I was going to mention this, and I didn't at the top. Thank you, Chris, for bringing it up. And it's funny as you say that, I actually heard Vin's voice in my head saying, "Here come the bullpens." And everybody stands around holding each other. Now, there's been a handful of really good baseball fights through the years, and some of them, go back and look at some of the Yankee Red Sox fights. They had a great one in 78. Maybe a great one in 70. They had great ones year after year. Most baseball fights are just standing around. But also watch a Padres. I don't know what. I think it came up. I was watching something on YouTube. And this guy, he's a journalist. He's a writer, whatever you want to call him. And he was talking about the Padres in '84. And he showed this awesome fight. I'd seen it before on YouTube. Go look it up. I think if you Google like 1984 baseball fight, Braves and Padres, it is one of the best baseball fights ever. Ed Whitson's got his shirt off on, chasing fans around. The fans are involved. I don't like to see fans get involved. Don't get me wrong. You know how I feel about that. But this was just a wild. Most baseball fights just suck. But there's been a few through history. Did they ever say why they didn't just go with pads? The reason why they did or didn't? For what? Did they ever say why? Flo, I'm having a trouble following. I'm assuming we're still talking about with flag football. They don't need them, do they? You're not hitting. Well, theoretically, you're not hitting people. Did they ever say? I feel like I'm missing something there. So if you can elaborate, that would help me out a lot, my friend. Thank you, Dave Guyette. Good morning, Dave Guyette's a big Yankee fan. Not a good week for us Yankee fans, Dave, as the Dodgers continue to be our daddies. Hopefully, we had a chance in the World Series to get some payback. But again, there's some, not to be the voice of doom. Jack Hirsch accused me a couple of weeks ago of being the voice of doom. I never did find out what if you're there, Sonia, maybe you can help me out. Rick Sherlock, this was a couple of weeks ago now, so probably nobody's remembering. Rick made an offhand comment about Sonia and Jack had taken a shot at me. It's all, I'm not, I'm just curious. I always like to know what it is. Just so I can laugh a little bit. But Jack actually a couple of weeks ago on the Friday show accused me of being a voice of doom, or I think I'm just a voice of reason. When I see a team, any of my teams, I'm not a guy who's going to tell you my team is going 162-0, 18-0 in the NFL, 82-0 in the NBA, whatever. I'm a realist. You know, the Knicks got to game 6 of the conference finals. If you told me that a month ago, I'd have been the happiest guy in the world. Now I'm disappointed. Yes, this team had some flaws. I pointed them out. The Yankees have some flaws. I point them out. Flaws that will probably keep them from advancing to the World Series if they're not addressed before the trade deadline. So anyway, they played better than I expected. I'm happy for them. But these 2 games in LA have exposed some of those issues. Michael once had did some flag football coaching in the UK for NFL London. I did schools in my local area. Keith and the kids loved it. It's a nice extension of my soccer coaching and NFL interest. That's cool. Listen, I am not degrading flag football in any way, shape, or form. There's a lot of flag football leagues around the country that are very good, and Flo talked about his son winning a national championship, and congratulations to him. I'm glad that you did it over there in the UK, Michael. I'm not denigrating flag football. I really am not. I just don't see it as an Olympic sport, and maybe it's just me being old and crotchety. If I use the word like crotchety, then I'm obviously old. I am counting you now. Yeah. So if Danny comes on from California, that will give us, because I'm assuming you're not in the UK, Canada, the US. So if I count you as 4 somewhere else in the world, when California signs in, we'll have 5 different countries. That was my joke. Didn't go over well, Flo. I don't think you were here last week, but here's the thing with my humor. If it makes me laugh, I don't really care. Always a great show, and my Beatles are brought up. Keith, rank your top 3 bands. There we go. We're Flo. You know, it is. I don't want to say there's a lack of sports news, but except for the NBA finals, I mean, we got OTAs a little bit. We got some Stefan Diggs news. We don't have a ton of stuff. NBA Finals coming up. Yes, the NHL. We get into some flow of consciousness today. My top 3 bands. Number 1, Chicago. And I'm talking bands, so I'm assuming you want bands and not solo acts, correct? If you want solo acts, I got to go country. I don't have a lot of bands. I will put Zach Brown Band in there in my top 3. From a country standpoint, I guess, if we want to consider them a band, which I do. If you want solo acts, I'll change this up, but I'll give you my band. So I'll give you Chicago, Zach Brown Band, and how about I'm trying to, there's somebody I want to come up with, and I just don't know if I want to. Oh, all right. Moody Blues. That's pretty easy. Actually, now that I think about it. Mainstream, rock, whatever we want to call it. Moody Blues, Chicago, and I'll throw Zach Brown Band in there from a country standpoint. I could throw a couple other things in there, but I'll give you those for now. If you want solo acts, then I got to change it up because Blake Shelton is my favorite of all time. And Sinatra. Sinatra would make my solo list. And Neil Diamond. That will show you how very eclectic my music tastes are. When we talk about solo acts, it would be Sinatra, Neil Diamond, and Blake. I'll get you a Viking helmet for those, for your lake cruise. By the way, they really didn't have horns on those. They didn't? Jeez. Listen, I got all my Viking history from Haggard the Horrible, and he had horns on his helmet. So, as far as I know, I think you're not accurate. I think my research, diving into Haggard the Horrible, is probably more accurate. Oh my God! Michael finally set down Michael Taglia after he struck out 81 times, 186 at bats. That seems good, pretty reasonable for the way we play the game today. Of course, he wasn't doing anything else. Where else could someone do that poorly and make it a third of the season? The only other job I can think of is weatherman, where you could probably do your job that poorly and keep it. And I say that with all due respect because my favorite weatherman is Steve Lapointe here in Albany. He's really, really good. Easy on the Orioles, Drew, says JB. We're barely beating the White Sox this weekend, but wins are wins. I agree. Did you... So you've swept the White Sox this weekend. That's all that matters at the end of the day. White Sox projected win total keeps going down too, by the way. Sorry, I got distracted here by the headlines on the CBS Sunday Morning Show. I can't fine print. I can't imagine what that is. Bill Clinton and James Patterson must be collaborating. Oh, there it is, right there. They're collaborating on a murder mystery, I believe. The First Gentleman. I don't know if it says it's a political thriller, not a murder mystery. That well, I don't know if that's really murder mysteries that James Patterson writes. They're thrillers, right? Love James Patterson. James Patterson, Michael Connelly, my two favorite writers, contemporary writers, I would say. If you haven't read Michael Connelly, you should read them. And if you haven't watched the shows that are from his books, namely Bosch and The Lincoln Lawyer, the series are tremendous. One's on Amazon, one's on Netflix. They're in the same universe. They don't really cross over. In fact, they're half brothers in the books, never mentioned in the series. And there's a new one starting, which I cannot remember the name of, starting, I think, this month. The last Bosch episode kind of set it up. So Tiger Woods and Vanessa Trump's ready for the next steps in their relationship. What is that? I mean, is he getting to second base? What is it? I'm so bad. I haven't been able to really. I don't get into celebrity relationships that much, so I don't. My wife might know more about this than me. No, she doesn't follow them either. Although she seems to know a lot about Meghan Markle. I don't know why. But I'm happy for them, I guess. I mean, I don't really know what to say, Chris. What is the next step, by the way? I know you put it in quotations, so I mean, I don't know if he's at first base, second base, engagement, marriage, breaking up. It could be anything. Cal Raleigh, is there a bigger surprise in baseball? Drew, you and I talked about a lot for over 2 hours, I think, when we did our MLB preview show. And I don't remember the name Cal Raleigh coming up anywhere. We should have talked about most improved players, but Cal Raleigh has become a superstar overnight, which is part of the Mariners' offensive resurgence here. It's the offense that's really carrying this team. They're 5 games over 500 in first place, only +7 run differential. When that pitching staff gets going, and I have no doubt that they will, this team could be really tough later in the year. Yeah, there weren't many. The A's are like, I don't know, they've lost like 12 out of 13 or something, I think, too. And by the way, the Sacramento A's, I don't know if you were here, Drew, when I talked about it a couple weeks ago, when the Yankees were out there, that is 100% a minor league stadium. It's a joke that the A's are playing there for the next 3, probably 4 years. It's just, it's not good. Warren, 57 pitches in the first inning. To me, I don't care about losing 18-2. I mean, I'd like to beat the Dodgers. I hate the Dodgers. Sorry, Danny, if you're there. We need our 5th state to log in here. Our 5th country. Did I say state? I was talking countries. UK, Toronto, US, wherever Flo is, and California. Will Warren, I just hope this doesn't hurt his. He'd been building some confidence and some momentum. He'd been pitching really well, I thought. I mean, look, he's not a young contender, but he's a young pitcher developing, and had been making some good strides these last few weeks. And I hope it doesn't get blown up yesterday. David Booth signs with the Melbourne Ice. Good friend of the show, Paul Rosen, is a coach with the Ice, for those of you who don't know. And he and his cohorts that are coaching over there are doing a great job of developing hockey in Australia. Paul's an interesting story too. You know, I somehow lost a bunch of files, and I wanted to, as I'm playing some encore interviews, Chris, I wanted to play Paul's. We've been doing some encore interviews for the one-on-one shows as I try to get myself in a position where I can attack this again. Things have been just crazy. A lot of stuff going on. But I've been playing some encore stuff, and I don't have his interview. I lost a bunch from that time period, and it's just frustrating me. I've got about 10 recently, and I'm trying to go to YouTube. And if anybody knows how to do this, please let me know. I want to download, because they're all there on YouTube, and they're all on Facebook, but you can't like download it to my computer from either place. And I can't, well, I could if I logged in and did it. I can't set it up in advance and play the video. I could play the video if I wanted to log in, play the video, and then shut it down. What I want to do is just rerun it. So if they're not on my computer or on StreamYard, which only lets you save, 50 hours of content, I've lost them. So if anybody knows how to get them from Facebook downloaded to my computer or from YouTube downloaded to my computer, I got to check Twitter. I haven't tried to do it from there. But if anybody knows how to do that, please speak up and reach out to me. Why didn't they just play tackle instead of flag football in the Olympics? Oh, I see. I'm assuming it's too dangerous for the Olympics, because we don't want to. If you watch the opening and closing ceremonies from last year's Olympics, you probably got your answer right there. They probably, and it's just my opinion. So, I think they don't want that violent sport to be part of their Olympic experience. That's what I would think. I don't necessarily think we need football or baseball in the Olympics. I mean, I know we have basketball, but it has a history too. We have hockey. I don't think football or baseball really lend themselves well. And again, plus in baseball, we've got the WBC. I don't need it. So, but that would be my guess. I mean, we had to go with a safer option. You can't risk. Well, again, NFL players probably wouldn't. The NFL probably would not send NFL players to play and risk injury, probably. Plus, I don't think the folks at the Olympics really want, a violent game like football there. That's just my opinion. And again, if you watched last year's opening and closing ceremonies, you can read into that what you'd like. Best record in baseball is the Tigers, quietly 654 or 644 rather. Not quietly in Detroit. Those guys are speaking up. Bistrilla on the National Streaming Sports Show is crowing, as he should. AJ Hinch has done a great job there. Spencer Torkelson, a nice comeback story after getting sent back to the minors last year. Chris F. Grade mentioned, and maybe Drew mentioned the same thing. He might have been rushed a little bit, but he didn't have a bad year a couple of years ago. Didn't have great batting average, but hit for some good power. Got some more seasoning in the minors. Maybe got his head right, and he's back and playing well. I like their corner outfielders. I like some of their pitching staff. A lot of their pitching staff, actually. I like Casey Mize. I think he's underrated. Scooble's probably the best pitcher in baseball. I would say Max Fried had pitched the best up until Friday night. But I think Scooble's the best pitcher in baseball, quite frankly. Good team. Best high school football fight, and there's no film. We need film. Recorder called it a Donnybrook, Fonda versus Perth. That's not a surprise. Bishop Scully versus Perth would have been probably the betting favorite for best fight, but I'm assuming that's during your heyday, Rick. There's got to be film somewhere. The games were filmed on 8mm. Somebody's got film of that fight. The film might have broken down by now, but my buddy Rich, and Rich, if you're out there, I hope we can get together soon. I know you're back from Florida, and I haven't had a chance to get together with you. We will soon. He had mentioned his dad still got a lot of. I don't know whether Rich took it off the 8mm and put it on, a hard drive or whatever, or a thumb drive, whatever. I don't know how you do all that stuff, but he may have converted it. He said he's got a lot of film his dad did from our junior and senior years playing baseball. So it'd be interesting to see some of that at some point too. Let's say you're in Europe. That's another country. Actually, you could be close enough to a border. If you step over, you add a country to my list today. 6 countries heard from today. Well, we don't have 6 yet. California still has not checked in. It's not Sunday without a Luke Voigt report. He's hitting like Oh, I love you, Chris. I have to tell you, I know I've told this story a few times. Chris and I, when Chris first started following the show, we were chatting privately, and I challenged him to bring irreverent. Careful. I think at one point when we were talking, I said the word irrelevant instead of irreverent. I don't mean irrelevant. I wanted irreverent content from my boy in Canada. Don't take offense to that, please. And Chris brings it to the table, and he loves to bring these Luke Voigt updates. I'm assuming he's still in Mexico, correct? I'm guessing. The Eagles, yeah, that's a good one. You know, if it's, I'll do this. If for bands, I will drop Zach Brown band because it's not really a band necessarily. I'll put the Eagles back in there. So now I'll go Chicago, the Moody Blues, and the Eagles. That's a good one. Very good. Rick's got a good one. The band is a great one you could put in there. Beach Boys I like, but I wouldn't put them in my top three. One of the best concerts I saw was probably 90, 92. So what is that? 35 years ago. Saw Chicago and the Beach Boys together at SPAC. It was one great concert. That was, you know, they were still in their 60s. I'm kidding. They're not that old, but they're getting old. They were for a time until last year. I saw Chicago every single year at SPAC, every year. And I didn't go last year because the year before it's gotten so the guy who's the lead singer now they brought him in from a Chicago tribute band, and you know, Robert Lamb, who's the heart and soul, him and Jimmy and oh God, who's the other trumpeter? Blue, I think. They're the heart and soul of that group. And when Robert Lamb's not there, I don't want to be there. And he misses a lot of shows now. I follow them on Facebook. I mean, they're getting old, man. He's like 80 years old. But they're still so good when you do get them on the right night. But no more. Best place I saw them play, by the way, was Proctor's. Oh, what a great show. Drew's favorite bands are progressive art rock. Genesis, good band. ELP, good band. Big Chicago fan as well before Satira. I was okay immediately after Satira's defection because I thought they had replaced them well with the guy's name escapes me now. But then they dumped him probably 10 years ago. And after they dumped him, things really started to go downhill. Their first replacement of Satira, well, he wasn't Peter Satira, was good. And I wish I could remember his name now. But he had some issues with his voice, and he had to step away for a little bit, and they ended up just parting ways. But they were just tremendous in concert, and again, I would see them every single year for decades. Probably from the 70s till last year, so like 40 or 50 years. Probably not 50 years, 40 years, let's say. At least 40, maybe 45 years. I saw them every single year. And it was a lot of fun. Too many guys have gone now, though. Front man in the band Rush, Geddy Lee, has a baseball memorabilia collection that borders the line from enthusiast to complete nut bar. Rush, another good band. And if I was going to throw some female bands in there, how about Heart? Heart is tremendous. I always run across this video when oh God, who sung Highway to Heaven? It wasn't Zeppelin, was it? Who? I'm having some browser issues, so I'm having trouble looking stuff up right now. Maybe it was Led Zeppelin. Anyway, when the Kennedy Center was inducting them, or gave them Kennedy Center honors, I should say. Robert Plant and Jimmy Page were in the box, and they did Stairway to Heaven, and the drummer who'd passed away, his son, who was a drummer, also played drums during the tribute. It was really very, very moving tribute. I may have that all mixed up, and I apologize if I have. Only 1 cup of coffee this morning because I haven't had time to get back up and get another one. 2 cups, I'm sorry. But I need 3 in the morning or I can't get going. Terry Steinbach once hit 36 homers in a juiced-up contract year. When you say juiced up, the contract was juiced up or he was? I never heard a lot of stories about Terry Steinbach and steroids, but here's the problem. When a guy like Steinbach or Brady Anderson, jumps from 15 to 36 or 15 to 50 homers, you got to wonder. That's why that's why I'm not in favor of keeping Bonds and Clemens and these guys out of the Hall of Fame. I don't know who did it and who didn't. It's impossible to know. 75% of the league was likely on steroids, probably. That's just a guesstimate on my part from the research that I've done. You could tell me about the Mitchell report. You think the Mitchell report found everybody? That's why I'm putting them in. Warts and all, as I said before. I said that on the one of the National Street Sports panel shows, and guys looked at me like they'd never heard that comment before. Warts and all. I guess I'm getting old when I say things, and people that are even 15 years younger than me look at me like I'm got 4 heads. But I would do that. I would have done that with Pete Rose years ago. Rob Manfred, for saying now that this was overdue for Joe Jackson and Pete Rose. Again, I've said all along, put them in. I'm not excusing what they did. Tell their stories. These aren't the Hall of Fames of moral high ground, by the way. You get banned from baseball for betting on it or throwing games in Joe Jackson's case. And I read your article. I think I'd seen that article recently. Drew, I did read it again this morning. It was probably a little bit different. I probably had seen excerpts from it, I'm guessing. But again, here's my take on the Black Sox, and it's not anything that would. First of all, they weren't convicted in a court of law. Second of all, Judge Landis wanted to make a case. Third of all, they did try to throw the World Series. Then when they weren't getting paid, they decided not to throw it. So the LA cops framing a guilty guy. Flo, we all know a home run in a relationship is explain first, second, and third base. I've never really understood what the bases represent. Well, I'm going to have Dr. Ruth on next week, Flo, and we'll get into all that. At first base, I could do that, but I'm not going to because I think I'm already probably blushing right now, as you can see my head. Oh, that's a good one, Flo. You're awesome, my man. That is an awesome question. And I'm going to do some research because I don't want to just guess at this. I think this is an important enough question that I should not just make my own assumptions. I should do some research. I have my thoughts that I could share, but I won't. That's awesome. After watching a documentary on Paul Brown, it was interesting to find out that a mistake by Autogram after a snap resulted in him handing off to the running back, which is the origin of the draw play. Interesting. I did not know this. Draw plays used to be much bigger in the NFL than they are today. I think the running game is going to make a resurgence here soon. Whether they pay those guys is going to be a different story, but we're starting to see some of it already. But Michael, that's a good piece of information there. And I don't, where is that documentary? But there's some good ones I got to watch. There's a lot of really good ones on Netflix now, newer ones that I haven't seen. But I'll have to check that out. Thank you for that. Birthdays. Let's see. This is a short list. Happy birthday today to St. Louis catcher Ivan Herrera. Carlos Zambrano, one of the most interesting pitchers ever. Had a middling career with the Cubs. Had a couple good years. I still remember him and Lou Piniella nearly coming to blows in the Cubs dugout. Brad Wilkerson, who was a decent Major League Baseball outfielder, not a great player by any means. Played with the Expos. Who else, Drew? Rangers? Maybe. I know he played with the Expos. Maybe played entirely with the Expos. Derek Lowe, good pitcher with the Red Sox and I think Seattle. Randy Hudley, very underrated defensive catcher with the Cubs back in the day. That's when the Cubs had really good teams, man. They played no night games, and they wonder why they couldn't win pennants, and they would fall apart at the end of years because they'd play, in the heat of summer, they'd be playing day after day after day, day games in Chicago. Randy Hudley, bad knees, had a little pop in his bat when he was healthier. Ken McMullen, decent third baseman with the Dodgers and the Senators and the Angels. And Dean Chance. Dean Chance, I believe, won a Cy Young, if I'm not mistaken, with the Twins. I'm going to say he also pitched with the Angels. Tell me how I did there, Drew. Always like this part of the show. There's James. Good to see you. Long time no see. It's been an hour or so. Good show this morning. Love doing shows with James. James is, I don't know. How long has it been since I met you now, James? Has it been, I don't think it's 2 years. Can't be 2 years because I know we had moved into our new townhouse before I met you and Sonia and some of the new guard on National Streaming Sports. But James has been a lot of fun to do shows with over the last year and a half. I don't know. You could probably tell me better, James, because James came into this and he tells me all the time that he got thrown into this by Mac McGrath. Love you, buddy. Linda, if you're out there, I hope you're doing well. But James said he got thrown into this, but from the first time I did a show with James, I thought he'd done shows plenty of times. Very knowledgeable. Great hot takes, I think. Louis Robert leads the majors in stolen bases with 21 despite a 182 batting average. That's pretty good. He's only been on base 21 times. He's tried to steal every time. I feel compelled to say this, and again, we don't have to stop talking about stolen bases. I'm not saying that, but I feel compelled every time we talk about stolen bases to bring up the fact that it's artificially inflated. I love the stolen base. I love the hit and run. I love fundamental baseball. I don't care about launch angles and exit velocities and three true outcomes. I don't care about any of that crap. I like true fundamental baseball. I like seeing base runners moving. I like stolen bases, hit and runs, hidden ball tricks. I love it all. But I'm so tired of changing rules to enhance things that we should be teaching players how to do organically. You can teach guys how to be good base runners and good base stealers. You can. They choose not to. You can teach players to hit where players are not. We don't need to eliminate shifts. If you want to change, put a rule in that you can't do the the tush push. That's BS. Get better at stopping it. How about coaching your players? How about you coach your players and instruct your players to actually perform the fundamental functions of whatever sport they're playing? In football, it's stop whatever play they're trying to run, not eliminate teams from being able to run it. What if teams were throwing bombs down the field and completing 90% of them? Would they eliminate the pass? You can't throw the ball more than 30 yards. It's bullshit. Excuse my French. Excuse my Scandinavian. That's true. Just went to Scandinavia. I'll change up my, excuse me. Stop putting in rules to just put lipstick on a pig. Fix the real problem. The fact that they don't know how to do this stuff anymore. Oh, God. So anyway, I'm not telling you should stop talking about stolen bases, Drew, but it does trigger me every single time. And the tush push vote last week and some of the outrage over the fact that we can't get rid of it brings me back to all these changes in Major League Baseball that we do, trying to make the hitters better rather than coaching them up. And you know what? Some of the reasons they can't hit anymore? Go watch Jeff Fry and some of the videos he puts up about some of these hitting instructors out there who are teaching absolute nonsense to kids. Oh, God. Got to get Jeff on the show. Bring back Billy Hamilton. Yeah, Billy Hamilton would steal about 80 bases and get on base 90 times, wouldn't he? Oh, our fifth state has been heard from. Danny, fifth state, sorry. Our fifth country. Danny, don't take offense because I know that you are being held prisoner there in that foreign country of California. So we now have 5 countries participating in this morning show. Welcome, Danny Fuller, one of our favorites. You guys are all my favorites. I think I say that when each and one of you come in and say good morning. So good morning, Danny. Your Dodgers are kicking our ass, by the way. I said earlier, Danny, too, that 18-2 it is. I'd rather lose 18-2 than get beat 3-2 in 13 innings or something at a heartbreaker. At least you know you're out of the game in the first inning. You guys took Will Warren to the woodshed yesterday. In fact, I think the Yankees used 9 pitchers yesterday. Pretty much everybody got taken to the woodshed. And I see Ohtani getting ready to pitch around the All-Star game. I'll say again, 29 pitches, I think, the live batters. Got up to 97 through all his pitches. I hope he stays healthy. It's good for baseball. Michael Gott, one of our favorite albums of all time, Days of Futures Past by Moody Blues. Classic, 100%. Great, great, great album. I got to tell you, too, the single best concert I have ever seen, Michael and anybody here, if anybody's ever had a chance to go see a concert at Red Rocks in Colorado, accompanied by the Colorado Philharmonic Orchestra. I saw the Moody Blues there in the 90s. 90, maybe 92, 93. They were still really, really good. They're all there. They're all together. The entire band was still there. None of them had passed away, or they don't do any work together. They do some stuff separately now. But they played there at Red Rocks. And if you've never been there, there's such a great venue for a concert. And they played, I believe, again, it was a Colorado Philharmonic Orchestra. Backed them up. It is probably the best concert I have ever seen in my life. Tremendous venue. Check it out. Michael, if you're a big fan of the Moody Blues, you can probably Google that on YouTube. Check out, Moody Blues Red Rocks concert. I think you'll probably find it in its entirety if you try hard enough. You'll find pieces of it easily. But if you look hard enough and say full concert or something, right? and you'll see the whole thing. And you tell me that isn't a great concert. Judge leads. Judge is definitely having a Triple Crown-ish type season. We're past Memorial Day. I will start making more pointed pronouncements. Judge is definitely going to contend for the Triple Crown this year. I truly believe that. These numbers will come down. He's not hitting 400. He's not going to have he could have a 490 on base percentage when they start pitching around him. The slugging percentage, that's Barry Bonds and Babe Ruth-ish. I'll say again, you can talk about Juan Soto till you're blue in the face. You can talk about Ohtani until you're blue in the face. And maybe when Ohtani pitches and is pitching well, I'll change my tune a little bit. The best player in baseball is Aaron Judge. And right this minute, it's not even close. Good morning, John Gonzalez. We mentioned John earlier. John, the best admin out there, gave a nice little plug with some new people he announced into the group last night. John is head and shoulders over all the admins, and they're all good. Greg Rawlings, don't take any offense. Well, Flo, you're not really an admin in a group. You're a little bit different, but you do allow share your show to your site, so I'll include you for that reason. Well, I guess you are an admin of your site. I'm an admin of my page. But John is the best. One great group. I saw AC. Don't know where AC is this morning. I saw AC join this week. We've had a lot of people from this who follow this show that have joined the sports authorities, and John does a great job over there. And everybody who contributes does a great job over there as well. So welcome, John. I think I've kissed your ass enough this morning. Kidding, my friend. I know that John is not a big fan of Tom Thibodeau, or at least has become not a big fan of Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau is not getting fired, number one. That doesn't mean they get off to an 18-24 start next year. Thibodeau will be gone. Mike Malone is a really good. It's Michael, by the way. I got in trouble by some Denver fans because he doesn't like to be called Mike anymore. He was only Mike for 20 years or so, but he's Michael now. Ugh. I don't think I wanted to coach my team just because of that, John. No, he's a great coach. He won an NBA championship just a couple of years ago. I don't know that I'm blaming Tibbs as much as I'm blaming Leon Rose. I mean, Tibbs didn't leave this bench empty. I think Tibbs made some adjustments. And again, he didn't have a perfect series against Indiana by any means. I mean, listen, you don't think he can coach? I mean, maybe he should have called about 37 timeouts yesterday, because every time he called a timeout, they had a 3 coming out of it. I swear to God, it was every time. Problem is, the last few, they were down by, 16 when they hit them. The big problem on this team, I don't know that is Thibodeau's fault. Hart's starting out of necessity. We need to get somebody in there, and I want Hart coming back off the bench. He's much better coming off the bench, and he disappeared. That's not a coaching problem. Hart didn't play well. He sucked. And who are you going to put in there? Mitchell Robinson stinks on offense. But the bench, there's nobody to go to. The three-point shooting was terrible. And I'm sure you're going to – and Towns, and again, maybe it's a coaching thing too. Towns needs to play inside. Towns needs to go to the basket. The Indiana Pacers had nobody who could stop Karl Anthony Towns when he went to the basket. And yet he's throwing up three-pointers way too often. I know he can shoot them. He was 0 for 4 last night, though. Knicks have made great – you can't refute this, John. I'll get back. I know you got more comments here, and I'm sure my comments will bring more from you, and I'll be happy to share them. You can't refute the fact that Tibbs has really made great progress every single year with this team. Be honest, John, Because I think I'm being honest when I say a month ago, if you told me I was going to lose in Game 6 of the conference finals, I would have said, that's awesome. Great year. Great job. But then when you get there, the reality is you find a lot of reasons, as I can and have, why they lost. And I'm not saying Tibbs is perfect. I'm not, again, I'm glad you brought a coach to the table, and a really good one too, by the way. Because often we say, well, fire Tibbs or fire so-and-so. You know, if you don't have a better option, when I wanted Aaron Boone gone, it's because I wanted Buck Showalter, right? And when I want Aaron Boone gone again, I'll give you a guy that I think can do a better job. I'm not into firing guys just for the sake of firing them. John's got an alternative that works. I'm not in favor of it, not right today. And probably if they waited till, 40 games into the season next year, they're not going to have a shot at Michael Malone or Mike. Indiana OKC will be the least watched NBA Finals in network history. You very well may be right. I don't know if it'll be the least watched. I'm trying to think of some other finals that I think if you go back to the 70s, right, early on, you'll find some. But not, since they've been live. Because remember, in the 70s, a lot of them were on tape delay. I would think those Seattle, Washington series, some of those series that were tape delayed and whatnot probably were not very highly viewed. But I think probably in the more modern era, when all of it's been live since 80-ish. I think even the 80 finals, if I'm not mistaken, the 80 finals, when the Lakers beat the Sixers in Magic's rookie year, and then he famously played center, theoretically started at center and jumped center. I mean, he didn't really play center the entire game, but he replaced Kareem. And they won a great series against the Sixers. That was still on tape delay. I'm pretty sure. But I think you might be right. It will be among the lowest, if not the lowest, for sure. Dodgers' usual whiff on their addition of whiff on their addition of Michael Conforto leads the majors with a 173 batting average. The Mendoza line is going to have to be renamed for a bunch of guys right now because there's a bunch of guys who don't hit 200 for crying out loud, and they play regularly. I have never been to Woodstock venue for an event. I've been to Woodstock, yes, and been at the site where the original Woodstock happened, but I've never. I'm not far from there. I don't know. Woodstock can't be more than an hour away. Probably not even that. Not probably an hour. Maybe Drew's got a better feel. But I have been there. And it's an interesting place. It's just a cow field. That's all it was. I can't think of the county now. Drew can probably help me out. But I would say, again, we're not more than an hour from it here where I am. As long as we're doing top three, but we'll narrow it down. What are your top three sitcoms from the 80s? Well, one's easy. Cheers. That's number one. I don't think Frasier started until the 90s. If it started in the 80s, I would say Frasier, but I believe it didn't start until 90. 80s. MASH was still, again, in the early 80s, so MASH was still there for me. I'm going to count that as an 80s sitcom. And I'm going to give you one off the a little bit off the radar. It's pretty good, and it had a good following because it followed Cheers. I'm going to give you Wings. I thought Wings was really good. Terry Kath was tremendous. Yes, his accidental death. They had issues trying to replace him for years. 100%. Terry Kath and Robert Lamb were really the driving force behind the success of Chicago in the early days, in my mind. They had a lot of band changes. They had a lot of band changes through the years, and I think they have survived them as well as any band could. Now, were they as good once Terry Kath was gone? After the Peter Cetera era, no. I thought that Danny Seraphin left. He made a big deal of. Well, I don't think he left. I think he was ousted. But Chris and Bowden, and I'm going to say his Chris M. Bowden, I believe is how you say his last name, is one of the best drummers I've ever seen, and I think was better than Danny Seraphin. But they had a lot of trouble overcoming Terry Kath, but they did a lot of great stuff after he was gone too. In the Cetera era and even past, I think they did a good job of replacing people for the most part, but in recent years, not so much. Again, when you end up with, your lead singer doesn't play any instrument and he's basically from a Chicago tribute band, Boston always on my playlist for music too. I had Boston. I thought about Boston a lot when I was thinking about bands, but they don't crack my top 3. It'd probably be in my top 10. I'm sitting here thinking about my solo top 3. Can't get a lot more. Can't get about a lot more well-rounded. I could throw a heavy metal guy in there, except I don't know any. But Sinatra, Neil Diamond, and Blake Shelton. Here's some shocking names. Some qualified pitchers for ERA this season so far. Chris Bubik pitched very well. We talked about Chris a couple weeks ago on the MLB update. Evaldi, second year in a row, although he's much better right now. He's done very well since he's been in Texas. Senga's come back nice from injury, and Tyler Mahle, that will not continue. But he's an innings eater. We love that term, right? If you're laughing at what I think you're laughing at, Flo, I'm laughing with you. We'll see. The best comment question ever. What? The sitcom question? Where was it? What was Flo's? Which one? I got to go back so far. I can't find. Oh, this one. That is the best question. I think that's what you're laughing at, right? I forgot about that question already. That is probably the best question ever. 100%. Oh my God. Now I got to find out where I left off. Where is Billy? It is one of the best. Oh my God. I guess I'm going to go without coffee until we get up there. I'm not going to bother my wife. What's on tap for on the grill today? I don't know yet. It's been rainy here. I think it's going to rain pretty much all day today. Yesterday was an absolute washout. Didn't even it got to around 60 degrees. So today's going to top out at all of 58 degrees. And a little bit less rain, not quite a washout, but not very pretty. But we'll probably put something on the grill yet. I don't know. Maybe throw a couple steaks on the grill later. I have been known to stand out there for a long time and under my umbrella. Actually, got a nice pork loin we ought to. Maybe. So it'll be a quiet day today. New show to watch as we've caught up. We've had some bad weather here the whole month of May. I'll give you a couple new recommendations for shows. Actually, just one. Well, two. There's one on Apple with John Hamm. Friends and Family. Something like that. Friends and Family. It's really, really good. I think it's 8 or 9 episodes. It was really good. And we started watching something that has, I think, 4 seasons with Gary Oldman called Slow Horses, which is about a bunch of MI5 misfits. But it's really, really cool intrigue. Like it a lot. So there's a couple of new recommendations for you. The Night Agent comes back today, by the way, on Netflix. Really good show. And I just mentioned Bosch and the Lincoln Lawyer to you. So you got lots of stuff to think about. Framber Valdez, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Very underrated, not getting enough credit with the Astros. 2 complete games. I'm surprised there's been 10 total. That's shocking. How many did we have all last year, Drew? Maybe guys are going to start getting it. Maybe guys will start getting it again. I doubt it. But maybe guys will start getting it again. Good job on the birthday boys today. Not bad. I try. Sometimes my memory is right there. Other times it's like, what was that guy's name that I had dinner with last night? UC Katucci leads the majors with 35 base on balls and 65 innings, but has a 3. That's hard to do, by the way. Where is he? Is he in Houston? Danny Fuller is a West Coast legend for sure. Danny Fuller is a legend all across this country, Danny. Or John. Sorry to tell you. No, listen, I've said a couple of times now on the MLB. Listen, I'm fine to say when I'm wrong. Right now, I haven't been wrong up until now. The first couple of seasons of Carlos Rondon's career here has not been filled with a lot of success. He had a modicum of success last year. Certainly was better than his first year in pinstripes. And this year he's been pretty good, except for what was I going to say? He's stayed healthy. He's had a couple of bad outings here and there. Everybody's going to have bad outings, but so far he's been very good and been a big part of this Yankees success. Again, I've said all along, listen, obviously Judge is the star of this team and carries them, but there's 3 underrated guys on this team. Rondon, one of them, who I don't mention a lot, and probably because I got to admit I'm wrong when I bring him up, at least for this year. Anyway, Weaver, Trent Grisham, and Rondon are very underrated or guys who deserve a lot of credit for the Yankees, despite all the injuries that they've had, continuing to lead the way in the American League East by 5 games. 5.5 games now. Matt, our boy out in San Diego's with us. So another a person from the foreign country of California heard from. Listen, when I talk about California being a foreign country, there's people that can be, not their fault they live there where they were born. Matt and Danny are good friends of the show. Good morning, Matt. Good to have you with us. Well, I thought about explaining it. And then I thought maybe I shouldn't, because sometimes my granddaughter's watching. I shouldn't even use the BS word I use. Every once in a while, when she's having a fit, my granddaughter's having a fit, they'll turn on my show and she gets happy because Papa's on the TV. Oh, I almost went there. All the members of the band, have they all passed? There's a great documentary out there about the band too. I'm a big documentary person, man. How often when my wife might turn in earlier than me and I don't feel like watching whatever ball games. I'll put the ball game on the iPad and I'll find some documentary on YouTube or someplace. I'm watching a really good one about Vietnam right now. It's actually like a 7-part series. But I've seen a documentary on the band that's really good too. Dodgers and Yankees. You're a competition now. Drew's trying to entering the competition, or is entering the competition for some of the nicknames, the best nicknames with Rick and Danny. Where'd Danny go? Did I piss him off with a foreign country comment? Tied with 94 HRs each. Dodgers lead run score and RBIs with the Cubs second. Rockies lead in triples with 15. Yeah. How good is that done for him? Hey, see, I mentioned you earlier. Welcome, my friend. I know that you should join the sports authorities this week. I noticed that. Mentioned to John Gonzalez, a great admin over there. Welcome, AC. Good to have you with us. Belmont this weekend. I think you're a horse racing guy. I can't remember now. Belmont this weekend. Face off against with Sovereignty and Journalism. I think it should be a great race. Hopefully we'll have some nice weather for it up here in Saratoga. And I'm going to tell you, I think Journalism will win this. I wish the Sovereignty had run the Preakness. I don't like these horses when they don't run. I know we talked about it, and Danny brought up spacing it out over the summer. It's funny, Danny. I know I poo-pooed that idea, and I saw it several times that week after, or maybe it was after. Maybe it was after the it was probably around the same time. Talking about making it a summer event. I don't know. I mean, part of the challenge for the horses and jockeys is the shortness of the time frame between races. I mean, the most is 3 weeks, which is from the Preakness to the Belmont. But I'll tell you, that Preakness race, and a lot of people probably didn't see it because when there's not a big Triple Crown implications, the Preakness will suffer. And it was a great race. One of the greatest races I'd ever seen. And I've been watching horse racing since I'm a kid. I remember seeing Secretariat at Saratoga lose to Onion in the Travers. So anyway, should be an interesting week here. And I think while there's no Triple Crown implications, I think the fact that at least as of now, Sovereignty and Journalism are both running in this race, I think it'll be a big boost to that race, the ratings, the TV viewership. The people here will turn out. It'll be a zoo. It'll be a zoo here in Saratoga County from about Thursday on. Don't go north. If you live here, Half Moon, Clifton Park, Waterford, don't go north. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe even Sunday. Rays lead with stolen bases. Brewers second. The Rockies at 216. Look at all their other. Their on base percentage is about 280. Their OPS, I think, is 680. No, 640 or something like that. Not hard to see why this team's going to lose 130 games. A record that stood for 60 years. A record that stood for 60 years before it was broken by one game. Very well is going to be obliterated the very next year. I mean, you can tell me, look, Keith, it's only June 1st. And welcome to June, by the way. You tell me, you look at this roster and you tell me where you see this team. If they win 2 games in a row this year, I'll be shocked. I guess you could do that just by accident, but 3 games in a row? That's the only team with an ERA below 3. You know, it's funny. The A's played pretty good baseball for 2 months, almost 2 months. In the last 2 weeks, I should say 2 and I guess a month and a half. They just fell into the crapper. Celtics should get Malone. No talk about firing Mazzone. That guy didn't coach a lick. God, we complain about Thibodeau here in New York. How about that guy? I didn't see him make one adjustment in that Knicks series, and I'm sure he didn't make any in the series before that. I like Malone, but I'm not replacing my coach. I guess I thought John might respond with his reasons. I know he had put up some stuff on the sports authorities about Thibodeau the other day. I don't get into a lot of debate back and forth in comments because it's hard to get your point across, and things get taken out of context, and things often devolve into tough stuff. Not that I think it would with John and myself, but it happens all the time. I got a guy that just I don't unfriend people, right? He's not a real friend. He's a Facebook friend. He's not really a friend. I've got 44,000 plus friends on Facebook because I try to drive the audience here through my personal page. And when you do that, you run the risk of getting some really whack jobs. I mean, this guy is so anti-Trump. You can be anti-Trump. You can be anti-anything you want. I'm not pro-Trump. I'm just pro-Republican policy. Sorry, that's just who I am. No, I'm apologizing for it. But this guy wishes the president dead. And there's a couple other too, and one of them is more than a Facebook friend. I don't unfriend people over any disagreements, right? But I rarely engage on this topic because Trump derangement syndrome is a very real thing. A lot of the things that have happened are met with the great vitriol that it is just because of who's in charge. You'll never change my mind on that, ever. And I'm not saying it's all good, but it's certainly not all bad. So watch something besides CNN. But this guy, don't wish people dead. Karma's a real freaking thing, man, and karma will find you. So I just keep mentioning karma to him every time. I don't berate him. That's the thing. You get in discussions with these guys, and if you ever try to put counter their point at all, anything with common sense, even you get called names. So, anybody who thinks the way I think apparently is a racist. I didn't know I was a racist. I'm glad people let me know so I can try to correct my flaws. 65 years old. I'm just finding out now I'm a racist. I'm being facetious, by the way, if you can't tell by the tone of my voice. I don't know how I got into this. That's a stream of consciousness, right? I'm talking about Michael Malone, and I get talking about some guy on Facebook who's a douchebag. I just called him a name. I said I didn't devolve. I never called him once a name. I had people. I talked about karma, and the people that follow him just devolved into calling me all kinds of names. And I just would say, I don't think I called anybody a name. But now you just wished this guy dead. 10 other people wished him dead. And I'm like, you guys all should be really scared to, cross the street tonight, for crying out loud. Anyway, let's get back to some sports. If the Yankees get swept, might be a wake-up call to get it in gear. Yes. I mean, these aren't must-win games, right? They're not division games. They're not even league games. It's not going to hurt their playoff chances. The Dodgers are really good. They're playing them on the road. I'm not going to panic here. I don't panic over 18-2 losses, Matt, because to me, it doesn't matter if you lose 18-2 or 3-2. In fact, I'd rather lose the way the Yankees lost yesterday than I would lose a close extra inning game or something. But look, at the Yankees have some issues that have to be addressed if they expect to do anything in the postseason, assuming they get there. And right now, I have no reason to assume they won't. The rest of the division is struggling a lot. The rest of the American League is struggling a lot, quite frankly. I mean, other than the Tigers and the Yankees, nobody's really setting the world on fire record-wise. So we'll see. There are some things that they need to wake up about for sure. He's also leading. HR's given up with 90. Surprisingly, the Orioles are second with 87. By the way, I know we talked about the dimensions in that ballpark earlier, Drew, earlier in the year, the Sacramento ballpark. I don't care what the dimensions are. That place is a home run haven. I watched the Yankees series there, and I watched balls that looked like fly balls that just became home runs. I watched every inning of those games late at night. And that place is not a major league ballpark in any way, shape, or form. And the dimensions don't matter sometimes. Just because it isn't 296 down the right field line doesn't mean balls don't. There's a lot of reasons. And part of it is there's no second deck. It was funny to watch Mark Kotsay get thrown out of the game the other day and have to take this long walk to the clubhouse down the left field line. Interesting. There are a lot of teams that have their home dugout on the third base side either, by the way. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. A taxi was a great one. Who brought up? You brought this up, right, Flo? Taxi was a good one. It's funny. I don't see a lot of Taxi and Reels. I watch Cheers all the time. And George Wendt, God bless his soul, rest in peace. Our condolences go out to his family. He's got a tremendous nephew in Ted Lasso star. Oh, geez, I just had his name in my head. And Jason Sudeikis is George Wendt's nephew. Cheers was just the best. And Taxi was good. I haven't really seen that in replays. I know it's on like TV Land or someplace. It hasn't come up just in my searches. Judd Hirsch was great. Tony Danza. Christopher Lloyd was awesome. Andy Kaufman, the character kind of weighed on me after a while. Although watch Man in the Moon if you haven't watched it. It's Jim Carrey plays Andy Kaufman, kind of his life story. Mary Lou Henner, just saw her in something the other day. Danny DeVito and Jeff Conway. Great cast. That's a good one. I'd give you Barney Miller too, but I think Barney Miller really I look at it as a 70s sitcom more than an 80s sitcom. You just like Cheers because of all the beer. Thank you for mentioning George Wendt. No, well, yes, but Cheers holds up even today. I don't know, 2 years ago, we rewatched the entire series, and it holds up today. And Frasier is another one. Frasier is probably the best spinoff. There's another question for you, Flo. What are the best, and we can narrow it to three, because I don't know if I got three. What are the best spinoff comedies or spinoff shows from a hit comedy? The only one I got is Frasier, because Frasier is so good it leaves everybody else in the dust. Frasier was as good and in some ways better than Cheers. Streets of San Francisco, a Quinn Martin production. When I was a kid, my stepdad watched everything that was Quinn Martin, everything. Streets of San Francisco, Barnaby Jones, Cannon, Mannix. Watched them all. I still watch them today. Get Pluto TV. If you don't have Pluto, it's free. Download the Pluto app on your smart TV. or your Roku stick or whatever. Pluto's got some great stuff on it. You got to watch commercials, but whatever. They've got classic TV, and they've got classic crime drama and stuff. Streets of San Francisco runs pretty much every day for at least 2 hours, maybe 3. So if you like old TV, classic 70s TV, especially 80s, get Pluto. Good stuff on there. And they have some newer stuff too. Drew with his top 3 soloists. James Taylor, good one. Billy Joel, that's a good one. That's a good one. If Blake hadn't come along later in my life, I think that Billy Joel would have been probably that third guy. Love Billy Joel, and we wish him well. By the way, he's battling some brain issues. It's a type of it's interesting. It's a type of dementia that can be reversed. So hopefully he'll be well enough maybe to go back out on tour. I know he's canceled his entire tour this year, and we wish him well. And Dan Fogelberg, very good choice, very underrated, and not that well remembered, I would say. Good one, Drew. Paul Spada joins us from Wisconsin. Good morning, Paul. What do we got? 10, 11. We've done well. This has been a pretty good this has been a pretty good stream of consciousness today. Change the dial was change the dial. The only one who ever said that was Jack before TV. This morning on the National Streaming Sports Sunday Big Sunday show. Yeah. We were talking about, I don't know what it was. It was something about watching whatever, and I'm like, just change the dial. Oh, around the dial. That's what it was. I don't know if I said, maybe I said change the dial. What else got a dial on their TV anymore? I do say that, though. I do say a lot of things that, man, nobody under 50 will ever understand. Right, Rick? Oh, I had fun. Jack did understand it because he had a dial on his radio before TV for sure. Is it just me, or the last 12 months been just about the coldest of my life? I don't know. If you listen to the weatherman, you know, it's funny. Summers are hot, and you know, winters are cold, and I know that. Some hotters are hot. Some winters are colder than others. Some summers are hotter than others. But everything has to be, you know. Don't get me going. I don't know. In the Northeast, the weather's been weird. The weather's always weird here. Wait 20 minutes, it'll change. And every year people panic about, and I know you're not AC. Every year people panic about the weather. Well, look at it. I'm pretty sure the planet was a lot hotter than this maybe 10,000 years ago. Long before man. We have to make a federal case out of every weather change. Weather's been like this in the Northeast since I was a kid. Some Mays are really nice. Some Mays it rains and it's cold. Some Augusts are hot. Some are even hotter. I don't know. But yes, the weather's been cold and rainy the last, I don't know about cold. I really don't have a gauge on that. And I don't get wrapped up in the, you know, when the weatherman tells me, you know, this is the hottest February or January we've ever seen. I'm sorry. That's not a shot at UAC. I really don't know. I know it's been rainy and cold pretty much the month of May. We had some really nice days in April. June's not starting off all that well. But listen, I remember years, Not that long ago. When I was in the beer business, so I guess it was a while ago. 4th of July, it was 48 degrees one year. It's just, again, I know you're in the Northeast, but we always say here in upstate New York, if you don't like the weather, just wait 20 minutes and it'll change. Well, they didn't ban it, just to be clear. It's a ludicrous decision to try to ban it. Just how about you learn to stop it? After all, you had to do the famous Lombardi sweep. Teams just had to find a way to try to stop it. Any play in football, any fundamental skill in baseball. We don't need to change rules because guys can't get their batting average up over 200 or 230. We don't need to eliminate shifts just because a guy continues to hit into the shift and hits 220. We don't need to eliminate the sweep, the Lombardi sweep, because teams couldn't stop it. Well, they learned to stop it. And guess what happened? They ran different plays. If you stop the tush push, it will go away. Somebody will figure it out. What I found really amazing was, and James Martin, who, if you're still with us, James, kudos to you, pointed out when we had this conversation that the Bills were more successful at this than the Eagles were, despite their failure in the playoffs. And they voted to ban it. Oh, don't do that. GQ John Gonzalez. Absolutely. Be nice, Paul. I know I sense some tension with higher than normal with Danny and Paul. And I'd like to play mediator here if I can. We only got 14 or 12 minutes left, so I don't know if there's time to do that. I hope you guys can make up. I don't know. I hope you're, and then Danny, I know you jumped out of the chat, the TGI Sports Talk chat, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. I don't know. I know you guys had a little spat in the group. I don't know if it was tied to it. Too busy with other things. It doesn't matter if you stay or go. You're my buddy and you're my new friend and you'll always be my friend. But if you want back, all you gotta do is say, I want back in. I think the other guys miss you. Paul, I don't know what the deal is. It is. Look, not everybody's going to get along all the time. Just, be cool. Turn the other cheek. What was the score of that Yankee game last night? 18-2. Yeah, 3-2, 18-2. It doesn't matter how you lose. You just lose. Fancy update, Rick. Here it comes. Where am I? I've had a tough time, man. I'm not saying Keith is not in last place. I've been dropping like a rock, man. I gotta remember, do I have any shot today? Let me do my other. Even the other league, I've been doing shitty. Just been a bad month. Hopefully June will be better. So anyway, close matchups. Just a format that I can't get my head around, man. I think one year I went to the finals and lost. Every other year I've been shitty. I got a crappy mouth today, don't I? Michael, by the way, Paul Brown documentary on YouTube is not solely on Paul. It's called The Complete History of the Cleveland Browns. I feel like I've seen it, but I will check it out. I find stuff by just scrolling through, right? I'll watch something on YouTube and then I go see other things that are like related or similar. I mean, that's how I find some. I'll do that for hours, man. I pay $1 zillion for freaking streaming services and then I'm watching hours and hours of free YouTube. You're near Los Angeles. I don't think I ever heard. I mean, I know you told me that you moved. I think you were born and bred in California. I think Danny was. You offended me, Stanky Ski. Never can be offended for living in Southern California. I joked about it last week and it felt kind of flat. But then when Flo came on today and I realized I had another country that is top secret because we got to keep Flo safe. I had to bring it up again today. Hey, as long as your teams are good, who cares? Sports Authorities Group. What'd I say? No, I feel like did I say something wrong, John? I apologize if I did. To repeat, I commented when John mentioned some new Sports Authorities group. Maybe I said page. I get screwed up with Facebook and whatnot. Pages, groups. Not sure what I said about the Sports Authorities. I hope they would have found it anyway. But a lot of you guys have joined, and I said in my comments last night that there's the top of the hill as far as admins go is our own John's GQ John. I'll call you GQ John Gonzalez now, following Danny Fuller's lead. AC, let Keith give the pesky Dodgers versus Skanky score after the Knickerbocker score. We talked about, unfortunately, we never talk about basketball until the Knicks get to the conference finals. Well, I gave the score. They lost by 17. Talked about all the problems that this team has, but they've been making great progress. John didn't give me his reasons. John, I see you're back, and now we're running out of time. But if you get time to post, I know you're not a big Tom Thibodeau fan, and I don't know if it's, the short bench that he likes to use, although I thought he used his bench a lot last year. We had a better bench last year. We had Hart coming off the bench much of the year. We had defense Vincenzo coming off the bench. We had somebody else that I'm not thinking of. I mean, this year's bench has been Miles McBride. I mean, Shamat, or whatever his name is, played decent the last couple of games as Tibbs decided to use the bench a little bit more. Did really well in game 5, but Game 4, Halliburton torched him for triple-double. For sure. AC's a great guy. AC just joined, for sure. And by the way, so anyway, yes, Knicks get blown out. Yankees lose 18-2. I don't get wrapped up in, especially, listen, I want to go beat the Dodgers. Dodgers are a hated rival of the Yankees, right? Not in the same sense as the Red Sox, but certainly more than the Mets. And I'm glad when we get to match up with them, and we have not. This isn't really like a revenge match for the World Series because it's a 3-game series in May, in June, early June. Yankees have some issues, and if they were to face up with the Dodgers in the World Series again, it would be a tough path to beat them. Pitching staff issues, third base issues, second base issues. But they played better than I thought. I'm not calling for anybody's head right now. Or especially not after an 18-2 loss. To me, the worst losses and the things that hurt more are losses that, a dumb move was made. And we might go past 10:30 if we have to. I see there's still a bunch of comments, and I'm long-winded today. And I did find out now after 2 hours, I can still reshare the show on Roku for the replay. So something changed nobody told me about. I don't know what's going to go on with Roku. We'll keep you guys informed. With Max passing, there's a lot of talk about what we're going to do, what will happen with National Streaming Sports. Not really we. Certainly want to continue Mac's legacy. Is where it's continued is up for discussion. AC is a great guy. You know, we go at it a little bit about the Red Sox and stuff, but AC's a great guy. Another interesting fact from the Browns doc. I don't know that before the Browns moved to Baltimore. I didn't know that before the Browns moved to Baltimore, it could have been the Bengals instead. What, the Bengals could have moved to Baltimore? I did not know that. The Bengals, by the way, were founded by, as you know, by Paul Brown after he got fired by the Browns. And when you look at their color scheme, especially early on when they didn't have the stripes and everything on their helmet, he pretty much fashioned it all after the Browns. So very interesting. The Preakness might have been an all-time great as far as finishes. I agree 100%. That race down the stretch, that move by journalism and his jockey was just amazing. A little surprised no inquiry came up at all, even a jockey inquiry, but I think they were just bumping each other around. It was a great, great race, and we're going to see hopefully a great race and maybe a great finish between Sovereignty and journalism here in the Belmont. Again, just up the road, 15 minutes, not going. I'll watch it on TV. AC returning the compliment to John Gonzalez. Keith, if it's Boone, you won't hold any facts back. I won't hold anything back with Boone, though. But right now, I don't have a lot to blame Aaron Boone for. The team's off to a better start than we could have expected, especially with the issues that I just talked about. They've had some surprise performances from Rondon, who we talked about, from Trent Grisham, from Weaver, and then Judge is just having an amazing season. He's the best player in baseball. That's one fact will never change. Change. I'm sorry. He won't always be the best player in baseball. He is at the moment. Tibbs has lost 2 years in a row to Indiana. He has to go. No more excuses. Well, it's fair. I mean, he did. I can't argue the fact that he lost 2 years in a row to Indiana. I will tell you, he got further this year than the Nick team has gotten in 25 years. And I would ask you again, John, because I don't think, and I hope you, I'm curious. If I told you a month ago, 2 months ago, that the Knicks would lose in Game 6 at a conference finals, would you think it was that Tim should be fired? Perspective is change. It's a moving target, right? I'm disappointed they lost. But again, a month ago, I'd have been happy with this if you told me this would be the end result. So again, look at Tibbs has his followers. I liked it. I know the desert that he inherited here and what he's done in 5 years has been incredible. Now, maybe they've reached their pinnacle with him. You could be right. But just saying. You're pro-Trump, and I'm still definitely one of your whack job Facebook. Well, no, I don't ban pro-Trump people or anti-Trump people. Don't go out there wishing people dead, though. Jeez, good grief, man. Karma will get you. Danny Fuller for president being 2028. I might be able to get behind that. Can we start a grassroots campaign right now, John? Start a Facebook, what do you call those fundraisers? We'll start raising money right now. We'll probably have $100 million in the bank by the end of the year. I'm not a Trump lover. I'm just I'm a believer in a lot of the policies that this administration is behind, which are basic Republican tenets, by the way. Now, we try to do some things too fast, and that's all. Whatever. It is what it is. Whoever's there, somebody's going to hate him. Joe wishes you karma, Keith. I didn't wish him dead. Oh, my God. That's a good comeback, though, John. Oh, God. I would never wish Joe dead. I like Joe Namath. I guess we're going to go a little long here. Not too long. We'll go a few more minutes. Joe Namath. Let me explain my situation with Joe Namath one more time. We got to get you on air live one day to have this conversation, John. Joe Namath I loved him. I think he's a great personality. I think he was great for the NFL. I think Joe Namath won the most important game in the history of the NFL. If he hadn't won that game, I don't know if that merger would have ever happened. So he's an important figure, and he belongs in the Hall of Fame as a quarterback. And I know everything's changed, right? I get that. Right? And again, I can't just look at numbers. I know he got hurt. You know, the later half of his career was no good. I think he's great. I think he was a great player prior to, again, he had the knee injuries even in the Super Bowl. I'll never say he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame because, as I've said forever, he won the most important game in NFL history. Just for that fact, he belongs in the Hall of Fame. And so I'd never say he did. But, I mean, I can name 50 quarterbacks that are better. I mean, that's probably hyperbole. 20. Let me start with 20. John Gonzalez, I might have been more votes last year than Mickey Mouse. Yankees need a bona fide third baseman, 100%. DJ's obviously done. He's going to get cut from this roster. He's got to be. He's a liability. You just can't. You can't keep him on this roster. He's never going to be the player that he was. It's obvious. This is 3 years in a row now. He came back in the first game or two. He really looked like the old DJ for 2 games, but then, he's never going to be. I hope when Jazz gets healthy, second base won't be a problem. I had King of Queens on my list too, but I couldn't decide if King of Queens was really 80s or 90s, John. I feel like it's 90s and not 80s. That's all. We watch King of Queens a lot. Jerry Stiller is a riot on that show. Obviously Kevin James is funny. It's a great, great show. But I feel like it's 90s. I could be wrong. Miami Vice, MacGyver. Good show. I was never a big Miami Vice fan. It's funny because Friday nights I bowled on Fridays. Back in the day, I bowled 3 nights a week. Fridays was one of them. And I was a big Dallas fan and always taped Dallas. So I never saw Miami Vice. I taped Dallas, which was on later. But I was a big Dallas fan, Falcon Crest, St. Elsewhere. Andy Kaufman might have been the most underrated comedian of all time. He was way ahead of his time and would crush it today. Quite possibly. He was very weird, though. Have you seen Man in the Moon? It's really interesting movie starring Jim Carrey as Andy Kaufman. Moody Blues Full Red Rocks concert is here on YouTube, Keith. There you go, buddy. Watch that today. You're going to love it. Michael Gott, go Edmonton. Michael's in the UK, but he's going to go Edmonton anyway, just to be clear. That's one of the 5 countries, including California, that have joined us today. But I am, too, rooting for the Edmonton Oilers, rooting for our Canadian friends north of the border to break a 30-plus year, I think 33 years, I want to say, drought of winning the Stanley Cup. Jefferson's was good. Good one. Maud's a good one. Laverne and Shirley. Rhoda. Yeah, Rhoda was all right. Laverne and Shirley was a spinoff of Happy Days. So was Mork and Mindy, by the way. There's some good ones. I was having trouble coming up with them. None of those are better than Frasier, though. Frasier's the best spinoff comedy. Weather changes the older I get, especially cold, no doubt. I think that's probably true. Keith, you're upstate New York, gets snow, and yeah, we can. We certainly had snow on Memorial Day, I can tell you. Well, I know you guys. It's cool. I hope you come back to the chat, Danny. I'd love to get back. I want you to get back in the chat. You don't have to, but I miss you there. I think Rick misses you there. I know Rick did a lot of conversation with you guys. I've been busy and I haven't been in the chat as much as I'd like to be, but I'd love to have you come back. The tush push will go away when Hurts gets injured doing it. That's a good point. That will be the off season. He gets the votes. Wait and see. I'll still be against it. I'm still be against voting it out. Don't vote out things that you just can't stop. All these sports have all these different things. Well, we can't stop this, so we'll put a rule in to change it. Stupid. Lots of French, lots of Scandinavian today, Drew. How far behind am I anyway? 10-19? That's not terrible. You're the new godfather of sports talk. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Best line from the Godfather. Take the cannoli, leave the gun. Godfather Keith Engle, loving it. It's fitting. Thank you so much. I look at Sicilian, don't I? I'm married to a Sicilian. I should be quiet. Dante will be back. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. I really feel this team would have been so much better with a Dante DiVincenzo off the bench, right? That instant offense. You can go anywhere, Keith. Back in time with your machine. Where to be? Oh boy. Michael's making it hard to end the show today. Where would I go? Can I have all the money that I have now and knowledge, wisdom? I would go to 1978. My favorite summer is 1978. You can figure out why. Don't wish Jets, just wish karma. That's fair. The new Godfather and GQ together for 60 minutes would be 120 minutes. No less than epic. 100%. You've managed to collect quite an eclectic group of followers. I have, right? What a bunch of wonderful and colorful characters. I will second that and first that or whatever I have to do. I've said that myself a lot. You guys, and I say this when I wrap up the shows, you guys make these shows go. I have fun doing this. If I was just sitting here talking for 2 hours, I don't think I'd enjoy it as much. And we stumbled upon this Sunday format where I let you guys just go and we play off that. And I love it. Because if you were doing this, I couldn't do it this format. I love it. And it is a whole bunch of different, to use Drew's word, eclectic group of people. And I love it. Love every one of you. King Queen 98. There we go. 98 to 2005. It's funny. I watch it now and I'm shocked. This show is, 25 plus years old. Walker Texas Ranger. Didn't watch a lot of that. Knots Landing was one of your 3 shows. A spinoff, really, kind of Dallas in a way, with Gary Ewing being there. I didn't watch a lot of Not Planning, though. I watched the first couple of years and I got tired of it. I might go watch it one of these days. I'm slowly rewatching Dallas, by the way. Miami Vice was good for the first season. Then it got full of itself. Phil Collins played a con artist on it, though. So props for that. Phil Collins obviously had the iconic. Actually, I believe Miami Vice is really what's the word I'm looking for here? Is credited with incorporating like rock music into the TV shows with Phil Collins' iconic opening of that show. Magnum was a great one. Good stuff. Oh, I'm stuck here. I can't get through. I can't get your comment here. I'm not an Oilers fan. Never liked them. Well, that's fair. They did knock the Islanders out of to win their first Stanley Cup. They beat that great Islander dynasty. Banning the tush push in football is like banning a check raise in poker. That's good. That's an interesting. Yours would be 1981. I got a word for you, Daddy Fuller. I'm not going to use it here because I've used enough Scandinavian on this show already. I'm a realist and not a racist. I know that. I joke. I joke all the time. Because I did get called a racist not long ago. It's shocking to me. I don't know if people actually know what the word means sometimes. Have a great week, Drew. You'll be back on the John Sports Authorities now that he's back on vacation. I know Drew contributes a lot there. Had a John Dotson suit for Florida. I think everybody had one, didn't they? Drum solo live by Phil Collins in the air tonight. Couldn't think of it. Watch that, Danny. Watch that, Michael. Watch that concert from Red Rocks with Moody Blues. You're gonna love it. And you tell me next week if that isn't one of the best concerts you've ever seen. I was there live. It was awesome. Favorite shows of the 80s with Quincy was another great one. Good job with the shows, guys. By the way, Quincy started out as part of the Mystery Wheel on NBC, and then it spun off into its own weekly show. But I was a big fan of the Mystery Wheel with Columbo, McMillan and Wife, McLeod, and then they had a bunch that they had a separate Wednesday night wheel that Banachek came from, was great. Quincy was on that one. They're really the shows that made it. Then every year they had that one, they tried to do new ones that didn't quite work out. Guys, what a great show today. All over the place. Love it. That's what I want the show to be. I thank all of you. I will see you Wednesday night with a college sports huddle. We'll be getting ready to set up our summer hiatus. We'll be doing a couple more shows, though. And I will see you then. Keep thankful for TGI Sports Talk. Have a great weekend. The rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now, with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.